Have you ever noticed how a single thought can suddenly change the way your whole body feels? One moment you are calm, breathing easily, and then, out of nowhere, a memory, a worry, or a fear arises, and your heart begins to race, your chest tightens, your stomach feels heavy, as if the thought itself has taken control of your entire being. It is almost as if thoughts are not just silent whispers in the mind, but living energies that can move through the body, shaping how we feel, how we breathe, even how we see the world in that instant. Have you ever wondered why these thoughts, especially the ones you don't want, come with such force? Why is it that a single memory from years ago can still pierce your heart today as if it just happened? These are what we call intrusive thoughts, the uninvited guests of the mind. They arrive without knocking. They sit in your heart without asking permission, and slowly, almost invisibly, they drain away the energy that is meant to nourish your soul. And the more we try to push them away, the more they seem to grow stronger, like shadows that only become darker the more we fight against them. What most of us do not realize is that every intrusive thought is not just a mental distraction. It is an energy thief. It takes from the light of your spirit, leaving you restless, tired, unable to feel the quiet joy that is your natural state. Imagine your spiritual energy like a river, flowing gently and peacefully. Intrusive thoughts are like rocks thrown into that river, disturbing the flow, creating ripples and turbulence where there was once stillness. And here is the secret most people never realize. These thoughts are not who you are. They are only passing visitors, clouds drifting across the sky of your mind. They seem powerful, but they are only temporary. Today, we are going to uncover how intrusive thoughts may be secretly blocking your spiritual awakening. And more importantly, how you can free yourself from their grip so your true light can shine again. 1. Recognizing intrusive thoughts. Intrusive thoughts often arrive without warning, slipping quietly into the mind like an uninvited guest who suddenly opens the door. In the middle of the night, they do not ask for your permission. They do not wait for the right time. They appear suddenly, pulling you out of peace and dragging your awareness into places you never intended to go. You may be lying in bed, ready for rest, when suddenly your mind begins replaying a conversation from years ago, as if your heart is still standing in that moment, unable to let go. Or you might imagine the future in the darkest way possible, rehearsing every worst-case scenario, until your chest tightens and your body feels as though it is bracing for a storm that hasn't even arrived. These thoughts cling to you like sticky webs. You try to shake them off, but they return again and again, stronger each time, weaving themselves deeper into the corners of your mind. It feels as though your mind is not your own anymore, as though something invisible has taken the steering wheel, driving you into the same painful roads over and over again. And the more you resist, the more the thought resists back, circling around you, whispering louder, until your silence is filled with noise and your stillness is broken by unrest. Sometimes it can feel as if these thoughts are alive, carrying their own weight, their own heartbeat, moving through your body and leaving behind a trail of heaviness. You know they are only thoughts, yet they feel physical. Your stomach knots, your throat closes, your breath shortens, as though the body itself believes the story that the mind has created. And so you lie awake at night, staring into the dark, your body still but your mind racing, replaying, rehearsing, reimagining, until exhaustion becomes your only form of rest. These are the marks of intrusive thoughts. Sudden, repetitive, sticky, and deeply consuming, pulling you away from the quiet sanctuary of your soul until you forget that peace was once your natural state. 2. The energy cost of intrusive thoughts. The energy cost of intrusive thoughts is something most people never see, yet they feel it every single day, like a hidden leak in the foundation of their being. These thoughts come uninvited, knocking on the door of your mind at the quietest hours, and instead of letting them pass, you let them sit inside, eating away at your inner strength. It is like leaving all the lights in your house on while no one is home. At first it seems harmless, but slowly the electricity bill grows, and before you know it, your energy is gone. The mind becomes restless, unable to settle, as if every bulb in that house is buzzing with a different noise, each demanding attention, leaving you too tired to enjoy the silence. Spiritual energy is precious. It is the quiet flame that keeps your soul alive. But intrusive thoughts are like gusts of wind, blowing against it again and again until the flame flickers weakly. You may wonder why you feel drained even when you have done nothing physical, why you wake up tired even after sleep. Because your energy was spent wrestling shadows in your own mind. These thoughts pull you into endless rehearsals of things that never happen, conversations that were never spoken, fears that have no ground. Yet each one demands a piece of your life force. Imagine pouring water into a cracked jar. No matter how much you fill, it keeps leaking. And that is what your spirit becomes when you let these thoughts take root. Every moment you dwell in them is a transaction. Energy exchanged for nothing, vitality swapped for restlessness, peace traded for the endless chatter of illusions. And over time, the cost is not just tiredness of the body, but an emptiness of the soul, where joy feels distant and silence feels impossible, because your inner house has been robbed of power. When you see it clearly, you realize that your spirit was never weak. It was simply drained by the weight of thoughts you did not invite, but still carried. The truth is, no storm lasts forever, and no thought has the power to drain you unless you give it permission to stay. Intrusive thoughts are like thieves, but the key to your inner home is still in your hand. You can decide when to lock the door, and in that choice, your energy begins to return. **3. Why intrusive thoughts arise. Body is where the quiet storms begin, the place where thoughts arise like sudden winds across a still lake. When we speak of intrusive thoughts, we are not speaking of something foreign, but something born from within. Echoes of fear, memories not yet healed, emotions that the heart could not fully carry. These thoughts come not because you are weak, not because you are broken, but because the mind has learned to protect itself through stories of fear. The body remembers what the mind has tried to forget, and so the thoughts return, not to punish you, but to ask for your attention. Like small children knocking at the door of your awareness. Imagine a time when you were hurt, but you could not fully cry, could not fully speak, could not fully release that pain. The wound stayed silent, buried in the body's memory, and years later it rises in the form of a thought. Sharp, repetitive, uninvited. This is the mind's way of saying, please, look at me, I'm still here. What if these thoughts are not who you are, but only clouds passing through the sky of your mind? What if beneath those clouds, there is always a sky that is untouched, wide, and eternally calm? Can you see that the storm does not define the sky? It only moves across it? When an intrusive thought comes, it often feels urgent, like a warning, like something you must fight. But the truth is, it is only a reflection of yesterday, not a prophecy of tomorrow. Just as a mirror reflects your face but cannot hurt you, a thought reflects an old fear but cannot harm your essence. The reason these thoughts feel so powerful is because they are tied to emotions we did not allow ourselves to feel. Imagine grief that you never cried, anger that you never expressed, shame that you never spoke aloud. All these become like rivers dammed inside, and the pressure of the water finds cracks in the form of intrusive thoughts. But here's the gentle truth. The thought itself is not dangerous. The thought itself cannot destroy you. It is the resistance to it, the fighting with it, the belief that it defines you. That is where suffering is born. Just as a shadow cannot exist without the sun, a thought cannot exist without your awareness. So, ask yourself, when a thought arises, do you see it as an enemy, or can you see it as a messenger? If you open the letter instead of burning it, you may find it carries wisdom, even if it is wrapped in fear. What would happen if you stopped running and simply listened? Perhaps the thought is saying, "Remember me. I am the part of you that still longs for healing." Perhaps it is a memory of rejection, asking for your acceptance now. Perhaps it is a moment of loneliness, asking you to hold it with kindness now. The body and the mind are not your enemies. They are your companions. And intrusive thoughts are only the echoes in the hallway of your being. If you walk gently down that hallway with a candle of awareness, you will see there is nothing to fear. Only voices waiting to be acknowledged. So, my friend, the next time a thought comes crashing in, remember, it is not the whole sky. It is only a passing cloud. It is not your identity. It is only an echo. And even the loudest echo eventually fades, leaving you with silence, leaving you with peace. 4. The illusion of control. The body is where everything begins. Our breath, our sensations, our thoughts, even the shadows of our fears all pass through this vessel we call home. Yet most of the time, instead of living peacefully in this body, we are at war within it because of the constant flow of thoughts that seem to rise without permission. These thoughts appear suddenly, like uninvited guests knocking at the door of our mind, and the harder we push them away, the stronger they pound to get in. We call them intrusive thoughts. The ideas, fears, and images that come out of nowhere, disturbing our peace, questioning our worth, and whispering doubts that we never asked to hear. The strange thing is, the more we resist, the more power these thoughts gain, as if our very struggle feeds them with energy. Think about it this way. If I ask you right now not to think of a pink elephant, what happens? Immediately, your mind paints the picture of that pink elephant, standing right in front of you. This is the illusion of control. The belief that if we fight hard enough, we can force the mind into silence. But in truth, the battle itself becomes the very noise we are trying to escape. When we grasp too tightly, our hands are no longer free. When we struggle too much, our spirit becomes exhausted, like trying to hold back the tide of the ocean with bare hands. So, instead of fighting, what if we simply notice? What if we allow the thought to rise and fall, like a cloud drifting through the sky, without needing to chase it or destroy it? The truth is, our thoughts are like passing weather. Storms, winds, and rains may come, but none of them can ever touch the vastness of the sky itself. You are not the storm. You are the sky. You are not the thought. You are the awareness that watches it, the silent witness untouched by its chaos. 5. Mindfulness as a key. The very first step on this path is not about changing your thoughts, but about truly seeing them for what they are. Just thoughts, nothing more, nothing less, like passing clouds drifting through the sky. When we are not aware, every thought feels heavy, real, and uncheckable. But with mindfulness, we begin to notice that a thought is only a visitor, not a permanent resident in our mind. Mindfulness teaches us that awareness itself is freedom. The moment we can say to ourselves, this is just a thought, we are no longer its prisoner, but instead the calm witness who sees it come and sees it go. I once heard a story of a man who struggled with intrusive thoughts during his meditation. Every time he closed his eyes, old fears, worries, and unwanted images flooded his mind, and he felt defeated, thinking meditation was not for him. But one day, his teacher told him, instead of fighting them, why not just watch them? Watch them, like you would watch leaves floating down a river, without trying to grab or push them away. He tried it, and slowly, something shifted. He realized that the more he let his thoughts drift without resistance, the lighter his heart became, until finally he could sit in peace, even when the thoughts still appeared. This is the essence of mindfulness, not the absence of thoughts, but the gentle awareness that frees us from clinging, a freedom that makes the mind vast and open, like the sky that never resists the passing clouds. And so, when you notice an intrusive thought next time, do not panic, do not fight. Simply acknowledge it, smile softly, and let it pass, knowing it has no true power unless you grasp it. Every time you do this, you are training the mind to remember its true nature, which is spacious, luminous, and untouched. And in this space, even the heaviest thoughts lose their weight. 6. Transforming the energy. Transforming the energy of intrusive thoughts does not mean fighting them, nor pushing them away with force, but rather learning how to redirect them, how to invite them into a softer space, where they dissolve naturally like smoke meeting the open sky. Every thought that rises carries energy, and that energy can either drain us or nourish us, depending on where we place our attention. Imagine your mind like a river. If you pour your attention into the rushing current of worry, the current grows stronger, but if you gently shift your gaze towards still waters, the calm begins to spread. Intrusive thoughts are not enemies, they are simply currents, and you hold the ability to choose where to rest your awareness. This is why attention is so powerful. It is the very bridge that transforms restless energy into stillness, chaos into peace, fear into safety. When an intrusive thought appears, do not resist it. Do not give it your fear. Instead, take one simple step. Place your hand gently on your heart. As your hand rests there, notice the warmth of your own touch, the gentle reminder that you are not lost, that you are here, that you are safe. Then breathe slowly, as though each inhale gathers the scattered pieces of your mind, and each exhale releases the heavy stones you no longer need to carry. With every breath, you are reclaiming your energy, pulling it back from the grip of intrusive thoughts, and returning it to the center of your being. Whisper inwardly, with the softness of a mother comforting her child, "I am here. I am safe." These words may seem simple, but simplicity is the doorway to transformation, for the heart understands what the mind often forgets. Each time you repeat this practice, you are carving a new pathway inside yourself, a path where energy no longer feeds fear, but instead blossoms into calm presence. In this way, every intrusive thought becomes a teacher, reminding you to return to your heart, reminding you to breathe, reminding you to remember who you are. And slowly, the cycle begins to shift. Instead of being drained by thoughts, you are nourished by awareness. Instead of being scattered, you are gathered. Instead of being lost, you are found. This is the power of transforming energy, not through resistance, not through struggle, but through gentle attention, through breath, through presence. 7. The spiritual lesson. The spiritual lesson begins with something we often fear but rarely understand: intrusive thoughts. They arrive like sudden storms across a clear sky, uninvited, unpredictable, sometimes overwhelming, yet they are not here to destroy us. Intrusive thoughts are not enemies, even though they feel sharp and heavy. They are messengers, whispers from the hidden corridors of our own mind, pointing us toward the places we have left unhealed, the rooms we have kept locked away in darkness. Every thought that troubles you is a signpost, a lantern guiding you back to a forgotten wound, a neglected memory, or a fear you have avoided. And if you pause, breathe, and truly listen, the thought reveals what your soul has long been asking you to face. Instead of labeling these thoughts as destroyers of your spiritual energy, what if you saw them as sacred guides? What if every thought that disturbs you is not a curse, but a compass, gently pointing you toward your awakening? When you resist them, They grow stronger, like waves crashing harder against a stubborn rock. But when you accept them as guides, they soften, and the waves turn into gentle ripples carrying you forward instead of holding you back. These thoughts test you, yes, but they also teach you. They teach patience, compassion, and courage. They remind you that even the darkest voice in your mind is still part of you, longing to be heard, longing to be embraced. Healing begins not by fighting these thoughts, but by welcoming them like long-lost children who only wanted to be acknowledged. Imagine the power in seeing even your darkest thought not as an intruder, but as a part of your soul knocking on the door of your awareness. When you reframe them, your energy is not destroyed. It is transformed. Every intrusive thought becomes a spark of awakening. Every shadow turns into a torch. Every fear becomes the soil where wisdom begins to grow. And so the lesson is this: your mind is not betraying you. Your spirit is not breaking down. You are simply being invited into a deeper initiation. The initiation of turning pain into presence, confusion into clarity, and disturbance into divine guidance. The next time intrusive thoughts rise, do not curse them. Instead, close your eyes, breathe deeply, and whisper, "What are you here to teach me?" And then wait patiently for the answer, because the answer will come. Not from outside, but from the deepest chambers of your own being. *8. Living with inner freedom. Living with inner freedom is not about escaping life, nor about silencing every thought, but about opening a space within where thoughts no longer dictate who we are. When we stop clinging to each thought as if it defines us, the mind becomes like a clear sky, and the clouds of worry, fear, or regret simply pass by without leaving scars in that space. Peace is not something we chase. Peace is what we are when the noise fades away and spiritual energy begins to flow naturally like a hidden river suddenly uncovered. Imagine how many times in your day a thought arises. I'm not enough. I should be further. I might fail. And imagine how heavy life feels when each of those thoughts becomes your identity. But when you no longer identify with every thought, those chains quietly drop, and what is left is an inner spaciousness, a freedom no one can take away. This freedom is not loud. It does not announce itself. It is gentle, like the stillness of dawn before the sun rises. Yet within, it lies a strength greater than any storm. Have you ever wondered, who would you be without the weight of these thoughts? Who are you when you stop carrying every judgment, every memory, every anxious projection about the future? You might discover that you are not the story in your mind, not the voice of fear, not even the constant commentary about what is right or wrong, but something far deeper, vast, and free. Living with inner freedom means realizing that thoughts may come and go, but they are not the master. You are the space in which they arise and fade. And in that realization, a new kind of energy is born, not forced, not borrowed, but flowing from within. Like a spring that never runs dry. Can you feel how light life becomes when you are no longer pushed by every thought? When the storms in the mind no longer carry you away, when you can simply rest in being? To live with inner freedom is to walk gently in this world, knowing that you are not defined by fear, not trapped by regret, not limited by stories, but free, wide, and luminous. Every thought does not need your attention, my friend, because not every wave in the ocean defines the ocean itself. Just as the sky is never harmed by the passing of clouds, your true self is never disturbed by the noise of thoughts that appear and disappear. You are the vast stillness behind it all, the awareness that gently watches without needing to control. Intrusive thoughts will come. They will knock on the door of your mind, sometimes softly, sometimes violently. But remember, you are not the door. You are the space the door stands in. You don't have to open it every time. You don't have to let every visitor inside. There is freedom in choosing silence, in letting the noise pass without becoming a dot. Maybe in your daily life, these thoughts show up as sudden fears, endless worries, regrets from the past, or expectations about the future. They whisper in the quiet of the night, or they shout when you try to be still. But remember, the whisper and the shout are the same. They are just movements of the mind, and like echoes, they cannot harm you when you stop chasing them. So I invite you now to pause for a moment and reflect. How do intrusive thoughts show up in your life? Do they disguise themselves as fear or appear as self-doubt? Do they keep circling back like a bird that refuses to land? And what has helped you let them go? What gentle practices, what moments of clarity, what silent truths have opened space in your heart? Share your journey in the comments below, not just for me, but for everyone here walking this path together. Your words may be the lantern in someone else's night. Your honesty may be the bridge that helps another soul cross over their storm. This is how we grow, not in isolation, but in shared light. And if this message resonates with the quiet truth already living in your heart, consider subscribing, not as a simple click, but as an act of choosing to walk together. Together we explore the mysteries of the spirit, the awakening of the soul, the gentle return to who we truly are. This journey is not meant to be walked alone. Your presence here matters. Let this closing moment be a reminder. You are not your thoughts. You are the silence in which thoughts come and go, the vast open sky in which clouds form and dissolve. Thoughts are guests, but you are the eternal home. Every storm passes, but the sky remains. And that sky, that stillness, that awareness, that is who you are.